Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. Check out our other videos. Join us daily. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, and share. Share with your friends. Put it on social media. We appreciate it because I'm not on social media. We're looking at the Alexandrian text, this minority of about 9 manuscripts that don't agree amongst themselves. And really, there's no such thing as an Alexandrian text. It's a so-called Alexandrian text. Came out of the Byzantine text. Now, I had a friend, and I hate to mention his name just because I didn't get approval to mention his name. He's from California. And he sent me a video from here on YouTube, and I really like the guy, and I can't find it. I'm hoping I can find it again. But the person was very learned in textual criticism, and like his videos about like ours, you know, he's getting like 100 views a thing and all this. And he goes in, and they're like 40 minutes long, and shows that the Alexandrian text, it didn't just appear out of nowhere, but it actually had an antecedent that was basically what we would call the Byzantine text, majority text, Textus Receptus. There's nuances between all three of those things, but sometimes they're just called, you know, in general because they agree so closely in almost all areas. And that these would be perversions, for lack of a better term, of the original Byzantine text. Now, Pickering, in his Identity of the New Testament Text, I don't know if he comes right out and says that. He might. It's a great book if you don't have it. We've got a review or two here on the channel about it. Started in the 70s, keeps updating. He's great, Wilbur Pickering. But he kind of highly suspects this, and he uses Codex Washingtonianus, which is purported to be 6th century AD manuscript. He says really it's probably about 200 AD, and he kind of goes into this. And so it's something that, again, has always been highly suspected, and especially like many of the oldest manuscripts are Byzantine manuscripts, and the horrible circular logic that's used to say they're not, they're plainly Byzantine or Textus Receptus, or as we'd say, King James readings. And then they would say, well, that wasn't done till a mythical council in the 5th century, a Heraclean recension or something like this. And so even though it reads like the King James, it couldn't because the King James didn't exist yet. And so you can quickly see this is circular logic, that this is not evidence-based, because you can do that with anything. You can do that with the Alexandrian text. You can say, well, it seems to be the Alexandrian text, but it's not, because it wasn't invented till the 7th century at a made-up convention or confab. So it couldn't be, even though it seems to read like that. And so the more I've learned about the so-called Alexandrian text, again, Pickering does a great job. And there's actually a book he's got. Another gentleman kind of breaks Pickering's book down, if you don't want to read all the minutia, where he goes into that, E.C. Colwell said that something has to agree at least 70% of the time to be considered a text type. And since that doesn't occur in Alexandrian manuscripts, except for P75, which many think is a forgery, and Vaticanus, which many people think is a forgery, agree about 77% of the time, there's really no such thing as an Alexandrian text. It's all just make-believe. And so I would concur. I would say that the evidence is extraordinarily strong. I may go into some evidences, deeper dive, that there was an original text and that these people were perverting an original text. That they just weren't coming up with. As they say in textual criticism, it didn't have a father or son. That they were looking at the Byzantine text and they corrupted that, but there wasn't a precursor text that read like that, that it's obvious that the text they were doing was a corruption of an original text, if I'm explaining myself correctly. That, let's say Vaticanus, for example, there's no precursor text to that, that it's obvious that there was a hand that was looking at something like at Mark 16, 9 through 20, these blank pages. It's like, well, the text I'm reading has that. Now, also, Burgon goes into this in great detail with the quotations of the early church fathers. He's probably done the most extensive textual collation, and he's the only person that I know of, at least in his day, Westcott and Hort certainly didn't, that, and maybe Scribner did, but he had actually eyed and collated the 5 what's called great uncials, the oldest complete New Testaments, and all of this are semi-complete, large groups of books. And so he knew what he was talking about. So he went into what's known as early church fathers and showed, and Mormon does a great job compiling this, that so much of them were Byzantine text. So the Byzantine text was there. The others were just kind of either mistranslations, misremembrances, targumed, or deliberate conflations because they didn't believe the doctrine. And that's another thing about literature. People don't really understand about doctrinal literature, that Jesus is talking about jots and tittles, portions of letters. Paul's talking about a letter, an S, not seed. It's seed, not seeds, one letter. That changing one letter can change a doctrine, and changing one word can. And the reason that they didn't change it all at once is because it'd be obvious. So they would just change, this time they might take out 2 or 3 words, next time a few more, next time a few words. So the Alexandrian text is actually a perversion of the original Byzantine text. So God bless. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.